Good afternoon, boys and girls. This is Courage Barbell, and I'm Chad Ikes. Today's episode, I want to talk a little bit about injuries. The other day, I got asked this question on my Instagram, which is just at Chad Ikes. The question was, how do you come back from an injury, and how do you start training again? This is one of those questions where there's so much to it. I really can't answer just this question, but I would need more information to even go into that, a lot more information. But there are some things I do know about injuries that may help people out and give them a little more understanding. I was fortunate to really learn flexibility and mobility, stretching and stuff when I was very young. I took it very serious in high school. Moving on and competing at the college level in the shot put for a little bit gave me a little more about movement and flexibility. Then I started my college in pre-physical therapy. I worked in physical therapy as a tech for like 7 years. I ended up stopping my education in that area because I got frustrated. I felt that a lot of the people I was working with and helping could have completely avoided these injuries. And I just felt I needed to take a different route. In the beginning of my career, I had hardly any injuries. My first injury was when I went for my first 800-pound squat. And I still had, I'd started wearing squat suits back then, but they were really loose. So, they didn't really help me out that much. And when I was trying to get the weight out of the monolift, I was up and they wouldn't pull the hooks. And like, I'm looking at the guy with the weight on my back. And then finally he pulls the hooks and I go to squat, but I lost my focus. And so when I got to the bottom, I got loose and just dropped me. I asked the floor and I missed that lift. And right afterwards, they're like, hey, we think that was our fault. You've got 5 minutes if you want to take this lift again. And I go, yeah, all I need's one. And I go, hey, Ethan, unwrap me and wrap me back up and let's go get this. And I went out and got it on that next attempt, which ended up being like almost less than a minute. That injury ended up plaguing me throughout the rest of my career because I made a poor decision and I would never back off and let it heal. I always just worked around it because I had another meet, another PR, another goal. Then I really had no other nagging injuries until my first WPO competition at the Arnold Classic. And I think this is a bit of a funny story. That's why I'm telling it. I think it was my second attempt where I made the lift, but something happened in my back. And I got done and went over to Ethan, my handler. I'm like, Ethan, something's wrong. Dude, my back's messed up, man. I go, it does not feel good. It hurts. And he's like, well, what's wrong? What'd you do? Did you pull a muscle? I go, I don't know what I did, dude. I go, I never hurt myself. I don't know what this is. And I go, my guess is it's probably not that serious because I'm not in complete and utter pain, but I go, it's not out. It's something happened. I tore something or strained something or I don't know. And I was trying to decide if I still wanted to take a third attempt or not. And, I believe Dave, Elite FTS, had a chiropractor there. And I think he tried to work on it and nothing happened. And I finally found a guy who had some of the not icy hot, but like the heavy duty, like equine horse stuff. And you got to understand, like most things don't work on me. Medications don't hardly work. Alcohol doesn't hardly work. Pot doesn't work. I had this huge tolerance to everything. So Ethan puts it all over my low back. And, I'm like, okay, shouldn't I be feeling something? Shouldn't this be happening? And he's like, well, it takes a little while. And I go, yeah, but I'm not feeling nothing. And I go, put more on. So he puts more on. And then within about 10 minutes, I'm on the floor I was on the floor stretching and all of a sudden I'm just rolling around like I'm on fire. It would not stop. And I'm like, Ethan, am I blistering? Is my back blistering? It feels like I'm blistering. What the hell is this shit? And I'm like, dude, get this. You got to get this off my back now, man. And we wiped it off with a towel. And I go, dude, seriously, is my skin burning? I feel like I'm blistering. And of course I wasn't. And I had to go to the bathroom and wash it off. That shit was hot, man. And I ended up not taking my third, and I missed all of my bench attempts because I was too stubborn to drop them. And I just couldn't get any leg drive, and I couldn't get the arch that I normally have. That was really my first big injury, and it did turn out just to be a strain, a muscle strain. Now, after that is when a lot of things started happening, but that was also when my sleep had taken a major downfall, my depression had taken a major downfall. So we're talking about me competing at the highest level and not sleeping, overtraining, and a lot of things that added to these other injuries. I have multiple tears in my biceps. They're all little ones, doing stuff like I would go on a whim and do a Highland game without any practice. And like the sheaf toss, I would tear little tears and I'd keep going. Like I'd finish the competition. I wasn't stopping, and I sure shit wasn't going to back off. So I have multiple bicep tears. I've torn my hip flexors twice. I've had some minor strains in my adductors. I tore the hell out of my hamstrings. I actually did my best official 1173 squat with a massively torn hamstring. Not torn my calves or quads. I've had some small tears in my glutes. I've had a couple little back tears. Tore the hell out of my triceps. Probably at least 5 pec tears. Luckily, I've never ripped anything off the bone. I have no real joint problems. It's all just been muscular or like tendonitis type stuff. So I've had a lot of experience in my own injuries. I've had a lot of teammates that I helped work through stuff, had clients I helped work through stuff. I'm not a doctor, don't have a degree in this. So my expertise is blue collar expertise, hands-on, just figuring stuff out as time goes by. So with that being said, I do think there's a little bit of a process you need to take when you get injured. The first thing is evaluating the injury. You need to try to figure out what it is. And sometimes that can be hard if you don't have the experience. I'm not a huge fan of doctors, but I have friends that are doctors, and I've asked them advice. I've went to the doctor to see things. I've had to have different surgeries, not for injuries, but for other like chronic compartment syndrome and stuff. Sometimes that's the answer. So you need to evaluate, did I rip something off the bone? If you did, there's a certain window where you need to get in and see them so they can get it reattached. And the sooner you get that done, the better your rehab is going to be. Did you do major damage to the joint? Did you tear a meniscus, tear an ACL? Did you tear your rotator cuff? Those are all things that it's definitely worth going to see a doctor, getting an MRI, getting it checked out. A lot of times most people think that chiropractors only work on the back. A good chiropractor works throughout the whole body. Any joint can be displaced a little bit. And sometimes you need to just get that pop back in, and it may go in naturally if you wait, but it's easier just to go see a good chiropractor and have him get it back where it is. Most things, like all the muscle tears and stuff that I had, some of them I would ask my doctor friends, but I didn't go see a doctor, and I wasn't going to go pay to see a doctor because there's nothing they can do. They could try to stitch muscle to muscle, but it's not going to hold. You're better off just doing a good smart rehab and letting it heal up and moving on. I mean, I'm the perfect example of muscle tears, and you can still go move heavy weight. Tore the hell out of my pecs and triceps, was still benching well over 800 pounds. Still squatting 11 to 1200 after all kinds of tears. Like it's not the end of your career necessarily. So once the injury happens, the first thing is to evaluate it. Is this something where I need to go see a specialist, or is this something I can take care of myself? Then from there, you need to decide like, okay, what's the course of rehab that I need to do? So let's say it's just a muscle tear and it's in the muscle belly. Not a huge major deal. You're going to be sore for a while. There's probably going to be bruising. Like bruising is going to be a big key to let you know that you tore the muscle. With most injuries, I have 3 things that I think are very important. Keep moving, stretch, but stretch light, and ice. There's going to be situations after surgeries and stuff where you will be immobile for a while, but generally speaking, and even when I started coming up in therapy, there was a lot of years in early physical therapy where it was a lot of bed rest. And then they learned that, no, this is horrible. And they started using CPAP, not CPAPs, what's the name of it? Continuous passive CPMs, like for knee surgeries and stuff. And it's literally a machine that just keeps your leg bending. They found out that not moving it is worse. So I'm very big on movement. Even say, example, the times I tore my pecs, I'd be like, okay, I tore it. It hurt. Like, this is not cool. I would immediately start doing very light stretching. You don't want to tear to make their injury worse, but you don't want it to tighten up. And you don't want it to heal up in one position where that scar tissue lays down all crooked and chaotic. You want everything this new scar tissue to lay down in a path to keep good movement in the muscle. So I'll start stretching very, very lightly. You really have to pay attention to how it feels. We're not trying to force any stretch at all at this point. We're just trying to keep it moving. And yeah, it's going, especially the next day. Like I would stretch at the gym after it happened. I would come home and stretch that night. I would make sure I iced it before I go to bed. I'd get up in the morning and start moving it very slowly and do some really light stretching on it. And then I would try to ice multiple times throughout that day. You're going to find there's information out there, and you're going to find people that'll go, ice is bad, ice is bad. Well, I don't necessarily agree with those studies. I haven't seen enough proof of that. And the experience that I've had is ice does speed healing. And I like to ice initially for sure, but I like to keep icing a couple times a day, weeks into it, because I feel it still speeds the healing process. And as far as movement is, even like the next day, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do some flies. It's no weight, but I'm just doing it. And I'm trying to keep that muscle moving within a range that doesn't completely kill me. But, even the arm raise, just trying to keep that muscle moving. And I'm doing that to pump more blood through the muscle to help speed healing. And I'm doing it to keep that muscle from locking up and getting stiff. I mean, the last thing I want if my pec's torn is for everything to tighten up right here. And then when I go back, now I'm going to have a shoulder injury because my pec isn't moving the way it's supposed to be moving. And now at this point, once you've kind of started your rehab, and I will say another key point is let pain be your guide. This isn't the time where you want to push through pain. This isn't the time where you want to ignore the pain. Like, it is your body telling you something. That's too much right now. So take it easy and go slow, but keep it moving. Don't go, oh, I'm hurt, I'm gonna sit on the couch for 3 weeks. Now, as you start feeling better and things start going good, it's very important to take some time and think about, why did this injury happen? Was it a lack of technique? Was it a lack of mobility? Was it a weakness somewhere that forces another muscle to work way harder than it has to? There's almost always reasons. Is your nutrition poor? Are you missing a supplement? Are you not getting enough rest? Are you overtraining? It's very important to find out, why did this injury happen? And again, it's hard for me to say exactly, oh, well, this is what happened, because all injuries are different. All people are different. That's one of the reasons you have a coach and training partners, is you got other people that you can go, hey, help me figure out why this happened. And sometimes shit just happens, but most of the time there's a reason for it. Most of the time you can go back and determine what happened. Now, on top of that, you have to remember that where the injury happens, or where the pain is not necessarily the problem. In fact, I would say more often than not, it's somewhere else that caused that injury. An example that just happened recently for me, one of my football players had been having a little bit of issue in here, and then a couple weeks ago, I'm like, we're going to do flies today. As much as I don't work my pecs a lot, it's important. You still need to work them. And he's like, God, it hurts right up in here, hurts in here. And my first thought was, well, you could have where the rib goes into the sternum can be out. And basically that's really hard to get back in, and to see a good chiropractor is the best answer. And so he had called and made an appointment, and it came out that he had had a shoulder injury that he never told me about. Side note, if you got a coach, if you got teammates, like, let them know what's going on. Don't hide shit from them. And don't forget to not tell them shit. Like, let them know. And I go, oh, well, that's interesting. I go, maybe this isn't a problem at your sternum at all. And so I ran him through a couple of quick tests that I know, and his pec was pretty tight, and I think it was up in the top, just under the clavicle. So I got out one of the old AccuMobility cone ball things that I really like, and I had him do some pressure point stretching, getting in there and stretching it out. 3 minutes later, he's like, holy shit, it doesn't hurt at all. I don't feel it at all. He goes, that's absolutely amazing. And I go, yeah. See what happens when you let me know everything I need to know? So yeah, but the point is it's not always, and when you come back into rehab after an injury, you've already been set back. You set your progress back. You set your goals back. You delayed everything. And you want to get back to training. Well, if we don't fix the problem, the same thing's going to keep happening. So it's very important to take this time to go, wait a minute, let's try to figure out why this happened. Do I have, oh man, I messed up my elbow. Well, maybe it's because my triceps got way stronger than my biceps. Maybe it's an imbalance in the muscles. I hurt my shoulder. Well, maybe it's because my pec's too tight and my middle back rhomboid area is too weak. Maybe my scapula happened to be winging because my serratus anterior is too weak. You want to take that time to figure out why this happened, so that you can fix that. And if it is a weakness or a mobility issue, man, while you're rehabbing, let's get that fixed as well. So when we are ready to go, everything's good, and we know we got everything lined out and it's fixed and correct. So then part two of the question is, when do you start training again? Well, I don't really ever stop training. And that's the advice Dave Tate gave me a long time ago. If you're doing this to get stronger, then it's training. So if I had an injury and I'm doing light stretching every day, and I'm going out and doing very light movements and everything, hey, that's still training. So I never stopped training after the injury. My training just changed. So when do I get back to my regular training? Well, this should be a progression. I'm listening to my body as I'm doing all these things. And if I'm doing, like, say I tore my pec and I'm doing the flies with no weight. Well, when I'm cranking out 30 of those and I'm like, that's pretty easy, man. Well, I'm going to grab some 2.5s. I'm going to grab some 5s. I'm going to gradually keep moving it up and keep pushing it, but listening to my body. Now, a mistake that I've made many times, and the reason I've torn my pecs 5 times instead of, say, 2 or 3 times, is because I did not listen to my body. My body tricked, it's hard to say. I was listening, but I jumped the gun. Because as soon as it was like, man, the first day where I felt good, boom, let's load it up, see where we're at, so I can start fresh. Got to find out where my max is right now and then start building. Because I'm so excited to lift heavy again, I can't control myself. And so you need to go watch the video I posted right before this one about controlling your emotions, because that's the perfect example of controlling your emotions, and you have a choice. And have the courage to make the right choice. So what I'm going to say is, the first day you feel good, the first day you feel 100%, take it easy for 2 more weeks. I'm telling you, man, this is okay. I'm not a doctor. I don't have MRIs. This is advice that if I would have taken, I would have had a whole lot less injuries. I would have got stronger way faster. If that tear is barely healed and you push it and rip it again, you set yourself back possibly months, depending on how bad it happened. Take those extra 2 weeks to just keep gradually building up. Don't just go, okay, we're here now, jump, let's test it. Okay? 2 weeks is just the standard, should be plenty of time. And I'm telling you, man, listen to me on this one. I may not know a whole lot about stuff in life, but I know strength training, and this is one thing that I know. I got to be one of the best in the world, and it sure as shit wasn't my genetics. It's because of what I learned and the people I surrounded myself to learn from as I did that, and I have a ton of knowledge about that. So I think that's kind of a general overview of injuries. Again, like I said, it's so hard to pinpoint it when you don't have what's the actual injury. And even if you said, hey, my shoulder hurts, okay, well, there's a lot of muscles and tendons and ligaments in there. There's a lot of different options of what could actually happen without actually seeing you and putting you through a few tests, which isn't even my strong suit. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of really good information out there. Man, follow Kabuki Strength. I think they have a bunch of different, or a few different Instagrams, which is like at Kabuki Athletes, at Kabuki Coaching, at Kabuki Strength. Definitely check out their website. They have a bunch of great products. They have a video, like a pay video thing that is well worth it in my mind. I actually am a member of it. And then they put out a lot of free content. They're very good about mobility and working to prevent injuries. If you stay mobile and you stay flexible, you're increasing your chances of not having injuries. At the highest level of the game, it's going to happen at some point, but the more you can do to prevent it, the better off you are. One of the other guys I really, really like is at Smashworks, Trevor Bachmeyer. That guy's great. I still, to this day, will have certain things happen to me, and I'll go back to his Instagram or his YouTube channel, and I'll start scrolling through, and I'll always find some sort of video that goes, "Hey, stop your back or instantly stop back from flaring up," or something. And I'm like, "Oh, gotta watch that one again." And to remind me of things that are going on. I mean, there's a bunch of good resources out there. Use those resources, but make sure you're using your brain when you're picking the people that you want to listen to. What's their history? What's their past? What are they lifting? What have they lifted? Who have they helped? Who have they worked with? Were they recommended to you by somebody else that you trust a lot? Just be smart about it. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to try to get this one posted here right now, actually. Please like the channel, subscribe to the channel, share the channel. Help me make this grow. And there's a bunch of new good things coming up this year. If you have other friends, lifters, put them onto this channel. I guarantee they're going to learn something, because if you've ever followed my career, if you followed me, I've been lifting since 97, competing since 97, 98. And if you followed my column on Elite FTS, I'm the one guy that's going to tell it straight out how it is. I'm not, I would like to make a living at this, but I'm not trying to feed you the bullshit that a lot of these people out there are. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you how I got to the top. I'm telling you how all the high level guys that I lifted with got to the top. Man, it's the straight truth here. So please like the channel, subscribe to the channel, hit the alert button, and follow my Instagram. And let's make the whole world stronger. Let's make the whole world more courageous. Let's build our bodies in the gym, and let's build our mind in the gym, and let's build our life outside of the gym, and our families and our careers and our businesses and everything else. It all goes together. It's all tied in together. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Have a great day.